That we have an active domain, there are a few things that we need to do before we can get CloudFront to point to this. One, we need some sort of certificate since this is newly registered. So let me just copy this, and we're going to go over to ACM. You can search for this, so it's ACM, and you should see Certificate Manager. And ignore this, this is the older one. We're going to request a cert and request a public cert. And for the qualified domain name, and we're going to do this for both domain and subdomain. We do need site to be able to be accessible from www, so we're going to add both of those. And you can either do this through DNS validation or email validation. Let's try DNS validation since we're running this in our own account. This should be pretty fast, right? Since we actually own the domain, we can go ahead and say create records in Route 53, and it will automatically add the CNAMEs. Again, if you check now, this is only 2 records, but as soon as we authorize this process. So this should be it. So if we go back to certificate, we still see pending verification. Let's just give this a minute. But we should see the actual records created here, and here they are. So let me close this and just go back. And that's it. So our status has been updated and we have our cert. Now let's go over to CloudFront, because we need to tell CloudFront that, hey, we have a new domain. And the process is similar again. We need to update the CNAME record in CloudFront. So let's open up CloudFront and let's go to our distribution. And we're going to edit. And we want to add a name. And again, we're going to use a CNAME. I'm going to add the domain itself and the subdomain. And for cert, it should show the cert that we just created. And I'll leave the default TLS 1.2 and it save changes. So that's just one step, right? CloudFront knows about our domain, but how do we let the domain itself know which record or which distribution to point to? So let's go back now to Route 53. And if you never used Route 53 before, your domains are managed in hosted zones, and think of this as the configuration area to make changes to your domains. It will show you list of the records, and let's open this up. Now we do need to create a record and point to the CloudFront distro. So each record. Again, this is already pointing to OnCloud as the base domain, so we pretty much don't need to enter anything here. We just need to flip this switch to point to an alias, and this will give us the ability to point our traffic to a service. And in our case, we want to point it to a CloudFront distribution. And we can choose the distribution. Now this is simple since there's only one distribution, and we already had the CNAME, so it should be showing you from the list. And we're going to create records. This may take a minute. We also need to create one for our subdomain, and that will be www, and it's already as dot, so we just need that. We're going to do the same thing again, and we want to point to a CloudFront distribution. Let's choose our CloudFront and create our record. And that's it. Our CloudFront distribution now should be pointing to our domain. So let's go ahead and give that a try. And there we go. And if we do the same, we should be getting our site through CloudFront, which is pretty cool. Also, if we go back to our CloudFront distribution, and let's refresh this, we should see the alternate domains. So that's how easy it is to set up your old CloudFront distribution, register your domain, and now we can get to our site using a friendly and accessible name.